Yo, what is up? Piler is on. It is I, Van Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel and Lindsay.
What is this green couch behind you?
You always got to be so observant of what's going on in my background. What's going on? I'm at my sister's house. It's a CMOS couch, colored couch.
CMOS is like a nice green, and you have a Posturepedic chair that you're laying on.
Yeah, because I'm sitting on the floor, so I'm trying to, be upright for the podcast. Where are you? You're not in LA either.
I'm in the town of New York, and I just looked. I don't know where things are in New York, so I'm in basically.
It's confusing.
I'm basically in Hudson Yards, right? Because it's where.
You're.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Oh, I'm not. You thought you knew. I'm basically in Hudson Yards. I'm very close to it, and then I look out the window, and I can see Madison Square Garden, which
it's right there. Hudson Yards is right by Madison Square Garden.
Didn't realize it. I never know where things are in New York. One time I was staying in Chelsea, and I'm like, oh, like Madison Square Garden. Khaliko's like, you could walk. I'm like,
yeah.
And I didn't realize it was this close.
It gets confusing, not at Chelsea, but when you start dipping into the Lower East Side and
I love the
Soho
Lower East Side.
and Tribeca, that's when it starts getting all jumbled up in there. But other than that, it's just like numbers and avenues, but it gets confusing the lower you get in Manhattan. To me, at least.
You ever been to Last Lap?
Last Lap? I have not.
Last Lap down there in the Lower East Side. It's a vibe.
You went, you out in these New York streets?
This is years ago. When I come to New York, the only thing I have time to do is do what I'm here for, and then try to catch up on sleep for my body. Because the reality is that you're always a little bit off, right? And I didn't take the red eye in this time. And so since I didn't take the red eye in this time, yesterday was a different travel day. I normally take the red eye.
Let me tell you, I'm in Atlanta, so I'm on the East Coast too. And it's brutal. I didn't take the red eye either. It's brutal the older you get trying to do this cross country.
Yeah. In Atlanta. You say CMOS couch. You're a CMOS person.
I have tried CMOS, but not consistently, so I can't speak to the benefits. But people I know that do CMOS, their skin is like glass. They look immaculate. It's beautiful.
So then, if you know that the CMOS is working for them, why don't you want to do the CMOS?
I've never been great at taking something consistently. Like a medicine, a birth control, or whatever it may be. I'm never good at consistently taking vitamins. I'm not good at that.
Interesting.
So it's not particular to the CMOS.
It's just like, it's not like you don't have
it's just hard for me to do the same thing all the time.
You don't have an anti-CMOS agenda. It's just like,
nah.
I'm pretty much like you, except for the fact that I'm on that animal pack along with that athletic greens. That fucking animal pack. I got vitamins in me, bro. I got the fucking.
What's that animal pack?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
What you mean? Yeah. What's that?
Uh-huh. That's the question.
Good. Donnie, do you know what an animal pack is?
That's the question.
I'm Googling. It looks like it's I don't know. It says it boosts your enzymes, immune system support, and liver support. It looks like it's a weightlifting thing, though.
Animal pack.
Oh, steroids.
That pack, that PAK. You feel what I'm saying?
Steroids.
Of course, I stay on my athletic greens, and I'm on the animal pack. These are not ads. I'll tell you this though. You gotta watch it with the athletic greens. And I'll tell you what, watch it in a good way.
Don't.
Don't.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
That athletic greens, I'm talking about a full elimination, right? And you feel good. You feel great.
Is it a diuretic?
It has that type of benefit, right? So you get all the vitamins, but you also get a lot of fiber. So the fiber just, you know what I'm saying? And for me, at this age, it feels great, you know? Whew. Love it. Rachel, we got a lot of show. I gotta be honest with you. We have a lot of show. There's a lot of shit going on in here besides what I was just talking about with the Athletic Greens. We got to start in North Carolina right now.
Man.
No.
I'm not into this show today. I'm going to be very honest with you.
Why,
I'm
Rachel?
going to try my best to not be angry. I'm going to try my best to just talk cool, calm, and collected.
What's wrong? Why aren't you into the show? Like, before we get into Mark Robinson down there, why don't you talk to me? I'm concerned
it's
about
not that.
you.
It's not anything like that. It's just the topics just are so outrageous and infuriating and offensive.
Wow.
And so I'm just like not thrilled that this is like the theme of the show basically today.
Well, that's what we got to get into. Mark Robinson's a wild boy. If you guys don't know who Mark Robinson is, he is a GOP nominee for a governor. He is the current lieutenant governor of the state, which I don't think people talk about when they talk about Mark Robinson. They talk
Right.
about someone who is attempting to achieve this higher office. He already has a pretty significant office there in North Carolina. So look, obviously he's a Trump candidate. We've talked about him a little bit on the podcast. There was some news gathering done. And CNN was able to connect Mark Robinson to several different accounts from his internet past. These are accounts on YouTube. These are accounts on Twitter, particularly a handle was called Mini Soldier. It also had an account on a site called Nude Africa. What?
Nothing. Keep going.
Can we do something real quick?
Yeah.
In holding Mark Robinson accountable, can we not besmirch people who may have had accounts on Nude Africa or other sites like it? Because it's just a place where people go to share their love of their hobby or their lifestyle.
There's no reason to do that. The only reason that Mark Robinson is getting that, there's no, I'm saying there's no reason to besmirch these type of people or these people that do this, because unlike them, Mark Robinson is not only running for a public office, but he's denying that he's in any way affiliated with someone who would be a part of these sites or watch these type of things. That's what makes it an issue.
Yeah. So this is between 2008 and 2012. This is before his political career. He's on Nude Africa. Mini Soldier was the name of the account. And they were able to connect him to these different accounts because he used his real name on some of these things. His real name. And not only did he use his real name, but his email address. Here's the deal. If you connect the dots here, this is Mark Robinson. There's just too many different things that line up for it to be him. Okay. Him having these accounts is not the part of this story that's interesting. It's what he was saying on these accounts. What he was saying during the time that he was married, what he was saying about his political beliefs are by far the most alarming and noteworthy things. And just some of the wild fucking shit that was coming out of his mouth. He was talking about the fact that he is a black Nazi. He said that he supported reinstating slavery. Remember, this is the gentleman that Donald Trump said was better than Martin Luther King Jr. He was Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids. He's a very close acolyte of Donald Trump, and someone who in recent months has been not polling very well in the North Carolina governor's race against Stein there, and who the party probably wanted to leave the race so that they could replace him with somebody else. all of this information has come out. I'm sure people have heard about it. I'm sure, Rachel, you've heard about it. You're going to read some of these posts for us in a second.
I'm going to try.
We're looking forward to this. But Mark Robinson has responded to a lot of this stuff. We're talking about really graphic things that talk about some of his sexual proclivities, some of his sexual fantasies, how he really enjoys to watch transgender porn. He has been someone who has been staunchly anti-transgender. How he was having sex with his wife's sister. We talked about the Nazi stuff. Just a lot of deplorable, like crass, ridiculously racist, homophobic. It's just really difficult to contextualize all the things that were swimming around in his mind, don't you think? You read it all.
No, I couldn't even get through it all. I mean, it some of it is just so, and I hate that I'm going to subject our thought lawyers to some of it later on or in a second, but I couldn't even finish reading it all. Now listen, do I love to see the downfall of Mark Robinson? Absolutely. Am I relishing in this a bit? Yes, because this is a man who has terrorized so many groups of people, but we shouldn't even be here. And we've talked a little bit about Mark Robinson before as he's, was starting to, run for office. I mean, continuing, his political career, his aspirations. But, we said this before, like, what does it say about our country? What does it say about the state of North Carolina that a man with this extreme take on politics and, who's a conspiracy theorist, sexist, homophobic, all the things, get this far in a race and become the Republican nominee and possibly the next governor? What does that say about our country? What does that say? Now, all the stuff that he was doing before that we knew of was already outrageous. That coupled with now what we're learning in forums,
So here's the thing. So all of this stuff people couldn't have known. This was his private, personal internet life. But the point,
but the stuff that he was saying,
right? If the biggest surprise about all of this is that it's not surprising, right? It's not surprising, right?
I was surprised.
You're surprised by this? The guy is a kook.
No. I'm surprised. I'm not going to say that he was that reckless, but a little bit. I'm surprised at the things sexually that he was saying. I didn't think that was something that he was going to be. I mean, you don't know what people are into behind closed doors, but yeah, that he's on these forums talking about his wife's sister and the things that he wants and his fantasies out here, and then goes and runs for office. Now, granted, I don't think he was always pursuing to run for office. He went viral just because he spoke out at a council meeting and people started big upping him. And then he decided to aspire to be a politician. But you are not surprised at the things that you read in the forum?
Well, no, because, like I said, I've been on these forums.
Okay.
Before. And then
big forum guy over here.
And then number two, I'm not surprised though, because the ridiculousness in which he carries himself, to me, I cast him in a specific role when I see him. I know how guys like that talk, how they move, and how they operate. So all of the things that he was saying, essentially, I have no problem believing that was the tamer version of him. Mark Robinson's talking about life during Jim Crow. He's talking about like the extreme Uncle Ruckus sort of buffoonery that he, displayed when he was in front of people publicly was the sanitized and sort of PG version of him. So if you're giving that in front of cameras, I wasn't surprised when I saw all of this. Now, some of this stuff is really, really, really out there. But at the same time, it's like him saying he's a black Nazi, him wanting to reinstate slavery. Those are things that's
not surprising.
Not at all. I'll say this, to your point that you were making earlier, he said that he was Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids, Trump did. This is actually MAGA on steroids. Mm-hmm. This is when you start lowering the standards of acceptance into your political movement to anyone who shows loyalty to Donald Trump. Then this is what you get. And I don't understand why the right continues to get burned by this. So Donald Trump's standard into the party inner circle is anyone who shows loyalty to him. So there's no true vetting process with any of these people. Mm-hmm. And you've seen the right burned by this. You've seen them burned with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've seen them burned with Mark Robinson. You've seen them burned with J.D. Vance. Maybe they need to go back. And I've never agreed with political theory or political policy on the right, but maybe they need to go back to vetting candidates along lines that have to do with something other than whether or not they can suckle Donald Trump's balls proficiently enough. Because a lot of these people that he's just minting, they have major, major problems. I mean, Mark Robinson is one of them, but they have a problem on their own ticket at the top of their ticket right now with J.D. Vance.
But I mean, this just seems to be a theme within the Republican Party. It's not even just Trump bringing on people or endorsing people who do whatever he says and what he wants. Obviously, these people are getting votes at the same time. So it's just an issue within the entire party. But, you know, when I was looking at like some of the things, because as I said, I couldn't get through it all, that Mark Robinson was saying, or just some of the things that he said out, saying in the forums, but then also what he's just said outright. It's like, you can't have the conversation without talking about, because, right, he has said some outrageous things about the LGBTQ plus community. And then yet in these forums, he's talking about actually liking things that are related to the community.
Liking transgender porn.
And so,
yeah.
Transgender porn, correct. And he's not alone when you see stuff like this, right? Like you see extreme conservatives sometimes or Christians talk about these things that they're so against, but behind closed doors, it's really just a projection in public because behind closed doors, they like it. They're into it. They're interested in it. And that's what you see here with Mark Robinson. And it's just interesting how this happens. And he's not alone time and time again, where you have people who are so loud and outrageous in their hate for a certain group of people or a certain way people live their lives. But then behind closed doors, they're doing the exact same thing. And when I look at Mark Robinson, I don't just see somebody who's projecting. You also have to talk about the self-hatred. His desire to be anti-Black or say things that are anti-Black, it's almost as if he no longer identifies with his Blackness because he's so obsessed with being accepted by whiteness. It's wild what Mark Robinson is doing. And I hope you said that he's his numbers are going down in the polls. I wasn't aware of that. Since this has all come out, like what are Republicans in general saying and what are Republicans in North Carolina saying?
So
do you know?
The conspiracy theory here is that all of this Oppo research right here, that it came from Republicans in North Carolina, because the polls over the last couple of months have shown that he is down significantly this time. And they want him to leave the ticket. And they wanted him to leave the ticket so they could put somebody else on the ticket so that they'd had a chance to win the governor's seat in North Carolina. And so they put this out there. The Republican Party has now, since this, largely, you haven't heard anything from Donald Trump yet, distanced themselves from him. It was a race that it did not look like he was going to win. It was very, very, very tight at one point. We went down to North Carolina, me and my friends from P68. Shout out to Daryl, Molly, Raymond, Melissa, P68. Okay, we went down there, and at that time, we were talking about Mark Robinson a little bit. I think things were a little tighter then, but that was a couple of months ago. I think, Stein had put some distance between him and Mark Robinson since then. However, he has decided not to leave the race. He's not leaving the race.
Of course.
He's not getting out of the race. Matter of fact, not only is he not getting out of the race, he said that this is AI and that he's being targeted by the powers that be. Donnie, give me the audio.
Hey guys, Lieutenant Governor Robinson and your Republican nominee for governor as well, of course. Well, guys, the news media is at it again. My opponent is at it again. You all have seen the half-truths and outright lies of Josh Stein on these ads over and over again. And now a story leaked by him to CNN is appearing now. Let me reassure you, the things that you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson. You know my words, you know my character, and you know that I have been completely transparent in this race and before. Folks, this race right now, our opponents are desperate to shift the focus here from the substantive issues and focus on what you are concerned with to salacious tabloid trash. We cannot allow that to happen. And folks, we've seen this type of stuff in the past as well. Clarence Thomas famously once said he was the victim of a high-tech lynching. Well, it looks like Mark Robinson is too, by a man who refuses to stand on stage and debate me about the real issues that face you. Instead, they want to focus on salacious tabloid lies. We're not going to let them do that. We are staying in this race. We are in it to win it. And we know that with your help, we will. God bless you. And we will see you where? On the campaign trail.
On the campaign trail.
On the campaign trail. Don't be black now, nigga. We're talking about some lynching. He said in one of these that he wishes he could join the KKK, but they don't let blacks in. So you can't be the lyncher and the lynchee. Okay? So you can't want to join the KKK and then come back and saying you can't be the lyncher or the lynchee. You gotta choose one. Like nah. Stay on that side. I keep trying to tell people, man, do whatever you gonna do, but just stay on that side, man.
Nah, they always come back, right? Or they at least try. They try to come back, Candace Owens. They try, right? They eventually realize all that I've been doing, all that I've been saying, it's never gonna be enough. And they try to dip their toe back in. But we ain't taking it. They go back.
All right, so here's the thing. We cannot give the people a full. Rachel, please. We have a podcast to do, okay? We can't give the people a full understanding of some of the stuff Mark Robinson was saying on NewAfrica.com without reading some of his entries, some of his thoughts. Okay, now a lot of this stuff is discussing. He's talking about peeping in on women and all of that stuff. He's talking about all kinds of stuff. But there are some of these things here that just talk about what's going on in the inner workings and mind of Mark Robinson. And Rachel, because you are one of the most articulate, one of the most well-spoken, your voice floats like lavender on an open lake in Westeros. Okay. Maybe you could read some of these for us. Maybe you could start us off with Mark Robinson's entry, Many Soldiers entry.
Yeah, Many Soldiers, not Mark Robinson.
Many Soldiers entry on Sunday, September 4th, 2011.
I'm sorry, guys. I'd just like to start there. This is not me sorry. This is Many Soldier. Okay, here we go. I'm back. We took a break for a little bit, but picked back up where we left off. I hooked up with my wife's sister, and boy, was it good. I don't want to keep going. I don't want to do it.
Donnie, pop on.
I don't want to. This man is sick. Donnie, you do it. This man is sick.
Hey, listen, I gotta be honest with you guys. I can't
even
First of all,
read it.
Now let me tell you guys something real quick. And this is okay. First, we gotta be serious. This is very serious. This is the future of North Carolina. Here's the problem with me reading it. This is expected from me. Okay, no one's gonna care. No one's going to care if I read it. It's not going to have the same impact. It's about the future of North Carolina. So, Donnie and Rachel, you guys have to get through this. This is for the people, man. Okay, Donnie, you're a father now. Would you want your child growing up with a governor like this in the state? Rachel, you are a very important figure. You're one of the number one grape sellers in all of America. Yeah, you got to get through it.
This is what I ask, Donnie, because Van's going to break this out. I need you to beep out every single thing that I read.
No.
I'm not beeping it out. Donnie.
What's the point of doing it?
Read it for themselves.
What's the point of doing it if we're going to beep it out? Rachel, come on, Rach. It's Rach time.
No.
This is your time, Rach. Rach.
No, Donnie, you have to beep it out.
Yeah, if Rachel says she wants it bleeped out, we got to respect her wishes and bleep it out. We can't force her to do it. I feel like we got to.
You know what? It's still going to have a huge impact because you're going to hear how many times you have to beep it out, which keep this behind closed doors and not on forums.
So this is what I'll say. This is what I'll say. We beep it out on the breakout, but we keep it clean in here. So if people want to listen to you read it uncensored, they have to come listen to the podcast.
No,
is that a deal?
No.
Oh my God.
No.
Man, what are we doing?
I don't hate that, but if Rachel is uncomfortable with it, still the answer is no.
I got a reputation. I'm sorry. I can't have people breaking this out and have me talking about, you know what? It's too much. If it was one sentence, fine. It's too much. It's too much. All right.
Well, then I'm gonna read one.
Mini Soldier, Mark
so you read the first one.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read one.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm back. We took a break for a little bit, but picked back up where we left off. I hooked up with my wife's sister, and boy, was it good. That is still creamy, and that ass is still slick, shiny, and pissy smelling. I her good. And after my was coated with cream, and after my was coated with her cream, we 69'd. She sucked my and balls clean and tossed my salad while I licked the cream out of that sucked her huge and tongue that I can't even read. And tongue that pissy ass good and deep. I know it's bad, but I can't help it. That crack is like crack, and I'm hooked.
He's hooked.
That man is. Donnie, do what you do. Go ahead, man. Take it away.
Had me another hot morning with the wife's sister. She brought along her laptop this time, and we watched some vids here on NA. That one really got us hot. Was called Wet Anal. That vid got her pussy soaking wet, and y'all know what I did, right? That ass was wet, slick, and good and pissy. And I licked and sucked that pussy and asshole till my face was covered in her funky juices. Then she sucked my dick till it was good and hard and lubed it down with wet. Then she laid back while I greased that asshole with her pussy juice and wet. Watching my big dick slide in and out of that asshole takes my breath away. It looks so good. We ass fuck a lot. But she gave me a nasty, sexy surprise this time. Right when I was really pumping the dookie shoot, good, she shot a long, hot stream of piss up in the air that covered my chest and stomach. It was so fucking hot. She was coming. I was coming. She was pissing and I was covered in piss. And pussy jupe and lube. Damn. This girl is good and I can't wait till next week to get me some more. This nigga a freak.
Donnie, you have to, I don't edit Vans too. It's too much for the listeners.
Don't edit mine.
It's too.
Leave my shit raw like Mark Robinson.
It's too much for the listeners. You like, again, it's one thing what you do, but like to read it in words, it's too much. Why he want her asshole to smell like piss? Why is it pissy smelling? At first, when he said pussy, to ask Mark. At first, when he said pissy smelling, I thought that he meant pussy smelling. No.
And he just mixed the I with a U, or it was a typo. But then he keeps going back. He wants the asshole to smell like piss. I've never heard that. He
said dookie shoot. He said dookie shoot.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I've never heard. I love it when the asshole smells like piss. Pissy. It's pissy smelling.
It's.
Go ahead, Mark.
I wish they were debating now, because he says that Stein won't debate him. I wish they were, so they could say, when you did, I want the moderator to read some of this back to him.
We should say this. While Mark Robinson's sexual proclivities and all of that stuff are his business, the most important thing, by far, this is funny, obviously, and it also obviously paints a different picture of him than he paints of himself. It's very important to remember the most important thing that you get from all of this correspondence from him is that he is a self-hating Nazi, racist, and that he is not fit because of his worldview to be the governor of North Carolina. Him wanting to fuck his sister and concocting fantasies, or maybe this all did happen, I don't know. It's one thing, whatever, that's his business. The most important thing is that inside of here, you see reflections of the Mark Robinson that you've seen out on the campaign trail, as he's talking about Black people, as he's talking about gay Americans, as he's talking about other groups. It's a window into his mind. And these are not the type of people that you want involved in politics and making policy that affects people's lives. That's what I would say. So all the rest of this, it's crazy. And obviously, it shows some different things, him talking about he liked to watch women shower and that he fantasized about it later on. All of that stuff it speaks to his value of women and how he looks at women and all of that stuff. But, right here, we'll want to cover this up with a bunch of comedy, or I don't want to cover this. I want to speak for Rachel. Cover this up with a bunch of comedy. But there's also some really, really vile and disgusting things in here that somebody making policy for people probably shouldn't have. We're talking about Nazis and stuff like that.
Yeah. Stop giving people power who have viral moments, right? It needs to be people who are dedicated, who have a history, who are aligning themselves with good morals and values, but also who are for the people and doing things on behalf of the people and not for self-motivation in their own power, which is Mark Robinson. He had one viral moment, and then all of a sudden he's given this power because you like one thing he said without knowing the history of everything that he stood for.
Right.
Let's stop doing that.
So last night I was on Abby Phillip here in New York. It's fun. Very fun show, lively debate. Talked about Mark Robinson, talked about Springfield, Ohio, a couple of different stories, a lot of stories. Oprah with Kamala Harris, a lot of stuff going on. There was a story that originated from Abby's show involving Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Rachel, did you see this?
I did.
Okay. Would you like to set the scene for people, or would you like me to do it?
No, keep going.
So last month, Michael Eric Dyson was on Abby Phillip's show with GOP Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina. You guys might have seen this. What happened was, as a matter of fact, Donnie, play the back and forth right now between Nancy Mace and Michael Eric Dyson.
Because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being, but when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of Black people.
Oh, so now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say. I just said you weren't a racist.
That is complete.
No, you don't have to intend racism to accomplish it.
You are intending that
your
I am
disrespect
racist,
of Kamala Harris
that is
part and parcel of
why
a tradition of disrespect.
It's offensive,
Congresswoman.
And
why can't you just?
I'm not calling you a racist. I'm saying what the practice is racist.
You absolutely are.
No, what's disgusting is your disrespect of her.
Professor,
this gentleman said,
you know what?
I didn't know her name. He's trying to do it.
Is her disrespect of women. She doesn't know what a woman is. And if 25 years ago,
white women don't have the ability to tell black women who paid the price of blood to make this country what it is, to tell them they're not real women.
25 years ago,
they care for your babies.
25 years ago, I became the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. I fought my way through it.
So pronounce her name right.
Let me actually pronounce
her name right.
Kamala Harris. If
Kamala.
Kamala.
You said this. We don't call you Nancy Manchin.
It's Kamala. You're doing this on purpose, Congresswoman.
That's disrespectful.
You remember that? Did you see that back and forth?
Yeah, I remember.
So obviously Nancy Mace is all fucked up for that. She's fucked up for that. One of the most fundamental things you can do to somebody to deny their humanity is to deny their name. It's just deny their name. This is what my name is. Look, there was a point in the campaign where people maybe didn't know how to pronounce Kamala Harris's name. They did this whole thing at the DNC to make sure that everybody knew. Now everyone knows. And when you endeavor into mispronouncing her name, you're doing it to separate herself from who she is. And so that right there has to be called out. Dr. Dyson, good on him, and good on Keith for calling that out. Okay. And Nancy Mace did look like a racist at that point. She did. She looked like a racist at that point.
Yeah, she did.
So she's on the floor of the House, and she enters something into evidence. Peak petty here. And this is a correspondence between her and Dr. Dyson that took place, according to her, after the show. Donnie?
I'd like to also enter into the record a screenshot of a text message I received from the esteemed professor from Vanderbilt, Michael Eric Dyson, after my CNN interview, begged me for photos. In this text, he says, after calling me racist on CNN, shh, don't tell anybody, we look good together, and sent me a kissy emoji.
Without objection.
Then the guy says I'm gorgeous in all these photos. I don't think he's that bent out of shape on how anyone pronounces Kamala.
Okay. So she entered that in, and she basically made it seem like Dr. Dyson was hitting on her. Rachel, what does that look on your face?
Listen, I'm not going to say that Dr. Dyson was hitting on her because I absolutely don't believe that. But it was a flirty message. You can't deny it. Because I don't know if we heard the whole thing, but it wasn't just the picture. He proceeds to go on and call her gorgeous.
Right.
You're a man. You can interpret things that another man does much better than I can. But I'm sorry. I absolutely do not think that he was hitting on her. But it was a cheeky message. It was a flirty message. I admire him as an academic, right? Has books, have followed things that he's done in his career. But I don't care how Dr. Dyson tries to flip this. It was flirty. It was cheeky. And he should have known better if you know that this woman is disrespectful to Black people in the way that she won't even call Kamala Harris by her correct name. If you're publicly calling her a racist or saying she's doing things that are racist, which in turn makes her a racist, then why would you then proceed to be reckless enough to send this type of message, knowing that she can do whatever she wants with it? And she did. And I can't get into the mindset of Dr. Dyson, but it does feel like he was poking a little bit to see what the response would be.
So, not a lot of reason
but you
to get
tell
into
me.
Okay, well, I'm going to get to it. Not a lot of reason to get into the mind of Dr. Dyson because Dr. Dyson responded. Donnie, play us a little bit of it. The response was 7 minutes and 30 seconds long.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
So we're not going to play the entire response, but we're going to play parts of it here where he directly addresses the, I guess, allegation from Nancy Mace. Donnie, play it.
Here I am trying to be nice to her, to be gracious to her, to compliment her, to suggest that she was, a human being, that she had been wonderful. I said she looked gorgeous that night. Now she's trying to turn this into me hitting on you. She removed the heart. These are other people that I interacted with recently, my friends, some of them. My friend Allison, I said, nice, you look gorgeous. Look out, Texas, here she comes, talking about that. Nell Painter, a world-renowned historian, on her Instagram, I posted, after she posted about she's a Mary Ellen von der Heyden Fellow in Letters of the American Academy in Berlin, in public, I said, gorgeous and brilliant all at once. A heart with a face that's smiling with hearts, and a kissy face, right?
So Dr. Dyson says that calling people gorgeous is a part of his compliment arsenal. And if you're calling somebody smart, you're saying they're well-dressed, you're saying they're gorgeous. Okay, this is what I would say. That might be true. He seems to demonstrate that in the video. But Nancy Mace isn't lying. She's not lying. If you got those messages, you would think that somebody 100%. Was hitting on you, okay? You think that somebody was flirting with you. If you got messages that called you gorgeous, that said, hey, we really look good together, say, hey, you make us look good together, and then put a kissy face emoji in there, a reasonable person would think that somebody was hitting on them. She don't know how he talked to Dana Bash or described other people, or she don't know none of that. All she knows is the communication she's getting from him, and it looks like he was trying to see what is up. I mean, he might have not been. He might have been doing that the way that he was doing, whatever. He might have not been, but she is not crazy at all for thinking that he was trying to hit on her at all.
Listen to the way he starts off talking this whole 7-minute explanation. He's talking about her in a negative way. If you felt that strongly about someone, like you did on CNN, and as you are now in your response, why would you then text her those things? That's where it doesn't add up. You are on the same show that he was on. If you had a heated debate with someone like that, would you get their number? Y'all might take a group picture of, oh, this was our panel, but would you then proceed to take an individual picture, send it, and then tell the person that they're gorgeous and have kissy faces? No, you were being flirty. That it all doesn't add up. That on CNN versus the public doesn't match the private. How about that? They don't go hand in hand. And I think you were trying to see if there could have been something there.
Are you saying that Dr. Dyson is a light-skinned Mark Robinson?
Come on now.
I'm just saying. That's what it seems like you're saying.
I don't know what he does behind closed doors, but I know that the public doesn't match the private. And yeah, you can say she's messy for the way that she brought it out, but he was reckless in having that text exchange with her at all. And I think the 7-minute apology, it doesn't make him look worse. It just makes it even more obvious.
So what he said is that it was Abby, and I brought this up to Abby last night. It was Abby that wanted them to take the picture and post the picture and put them together and all of that stuff like that. It was Abby that did it. And then this correspondence took place. And these are things that he says to people all the time. You can't do it that way. You can't. It looks like Dr. Dyson was trying to see what's up. Nobody is going to believe him. Well, a lot of people do believe him, but once again, if you look under the comments, it's like, oh, she's just trying to reach. She's just trying to do all of this stuff. She's just trying to do all of that. I can't buy that. I don't know what his intentions were, but her taking it that way, it's a flirty text message. It's flirty. Whether or not you meant it to be flirty or not, it's flirty. We've been doing this podcast 4 years. I've never once commented on your looks ever before. Not even, hey, slay friend, yes, girl, Rachel, you look so, it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. I've maybe commented on,
I can't stand you.
Maybe I've commented on that, but it's not gonna be like, hey man, you killing it today, girl, with a kissy face.
If you sent me that message, I would think it was weird.
Yeah,
I'd be like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, hey girl,
and we know each other, and we know each other. They don't even know each other. Mm-hmm. It's okay. He tried it.
Dr. Dyson, no. Don't let him get you like this, Dr. Dyson.
That's the theme. This is the theme of these shows. The men are just, what y'all do behind closed doors. We don't want to know. We don't want to know.
But it's the way we're wired like this. It's part of this. We got to propagate the species,
We don't want to know. That's what I always used to say this. I always used to say this when I was dating. Like when I'd be with my homeboys and I might have been dating one of their friends, I'm like, you have no idea how your friend acts behind closed doors. Like, y'all just...
But you know what the crazy thing is? We do know. We do know. We don't know the full extent, but every guy in your crew has two profiles. He has the profile that he gives you, and then he has the profile that you know he really is. Right? I could tell so many stories.
Oh, we could too.
That makes this the profile. That's why when we around somebody else and he talking about how he acting, he getting off. Oh man, this is how I treat these females and whatever. You be looking at him like, yeah, all right, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we don't know the full extent because y'all see them obviously in different situations and settings and stuff. We don't know the full extent, but the guys that we know, we know, man, I'll never forget. I'm not gonna tell you which homie got caught up with this girl. This is one of the funniest moments in my life. Got caught up with this girl. We in the car and we about to go to her house. I'm about to drop him at her house so he could plead his case. And we in the car, he goes,
plead his case.
Plead his case. We in the car, he goes, I ain't gonna lie, man. Man, I'm gonna have to put it on God that I didn't do nothing. And I was like, wait, what?
Just like, preparing to lie.
Yep. He's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna have to put it on God. And I was like, you know that I'm never gonna forget this moment, right? You realize that this is a watershed moment. Like you realize I'm never gonna forget this. Like you didn't even have to tell me that. Like you just wanted to. You've brought me into it now. Like I'll drop you off. You do whatever you're gonna do. But now that you've said this is it. Don't ever. You realize I'm going to remember this. I guess he did because they got back together. So he did right there. Boy, I got some stories,
ladies, if they say on God, don't believe it.
But
they're definitely lying.
But it could be also sham God though.
I'm gonna be single forever.
It could be sham God.
I'm just gonna.
So
sham God.
In the crew, we came up with something where you could put it on God, but it's not on God. It's on God, sham God, who was a point guard for I think Providence back in the day.
Oh my, y'all.
Donnie, do you know God Sham God?
I don't. I looked him up though. That's a dope name. God Sham God.
Is he?
No, it's
Providence.
Not. It's not
Providence, right? It was Providence.
Yep, Providence.
Yeah. So God Sham God, the actual Sham God move, comes from God Sham God. He made it up. God Sham God was cold with it, and so if you had to get one off, and you said, "Yo, man, I put that on God." You could actually, and then what we would do in the crew is we would go, I put that on God. Sham God. And
okay, but if you're saying it to somebody outside of the crew, no.
Well, you said on the crew, they don't know who you're talking about. You say you put it on God, and it's actually sham God. It's not God, it's God, sham God. Oh, this was all kinds of different people. This was just ladies. You put it on, hey, man, I put that on God, man. Sham God.
Wow. Wow. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna be single forever. I'm just here to have fun.
Shammy. This was like in the 2000s.
On God.
Sham God. All right. Rachel, this is yours.
No, Ari. Okay. So I still don't want to do it. I'm so frustrated with men.
Why you don't want to do it?
I hate men today. No, it's not that I don't want to. I don't want to do it, but just God, y'all are making it hard for us. So at this point, you guys, it's been everywhere. The Shits and Giggles podcasters, we've never really covered them on our show. They weren't huge, though. I know.
I didn't realize how gigantic the podcast was. They're a huge podcast.
I don't know if I knew it was big. By the time I started seeing the clips and they're British podcasters, I knew it was big.
They sold out the O2 Arena.
I feel like but which arena is that? Where's
the O2 Arena in England? They sold out the O2 Arena. Like they are that is gigantic, yeah.
And I feel like they got even bigger probably with the cancellation. I mean, they were already big, but like the fresh and fit of it all, like them going down, like these two, their star was only rising. And of course, a lot of their supporters are Black women. So they came to the US, did a US tour this summer. And one of the stops they made was at the Flagrant podcast. So the Shits and Giggles podcasters are James Duncan and is it Fuhad? I don't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't give a fuck.
But see, you can't do. But see, you can't do that.
I know.
You can't do that with Kamala Harris.
Okay,
and did not pronounce that.
Let me make a distinction.
Right. We don't know how to pronounce.
I knew you were going to say
that.
Yeah. I called myself that way. But let me make a distinction. Kamala Harris hasn't done anything that makes me want to disrespect her name. These guys have. They have continued to disrespect Black women, which is me. And so why should then I put respect on his name? So yes, I'm being a hypocrite, but he deserves it, right? All right, so here we go. So they went on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz, and they have a moment on the podcast. They have many moments on the podcast, actually, but this is the moment that went viral. Donnie.
What is the black girlfriend effect?
You don't know about this. Glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend, all of a sudden he's got buzz cut, clean shape up.
Glows up, bro.
I like that.
They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends,
they grow a beard because there's more cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of. That's hilarious. I think the black girlfriend effect. It might be a protective instinct, bro.
You think?
Protective. Yeah. Do you guys? Have you ever had black girlfriends?
Yeah.
Have you ever had white girls?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's your favorite?
We love them all.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We love them all.
Yeah.
That means white.
Who gets
that means white.
Hey, let me translation.
Kendrick fans, get him!
Yeah. So this happened back in July. And I don't know why, but it's just now becoming viral. I don't know who posted it, why nobody paid attention to it, especially
I have an idea why, by the way.
Why?
They also went on the Poor Minds podcast with Lex and Drea. Shout out to them. They're doing really well.
I saw that.
It's a really great podcast. And when they were on that podcast, they said that there were no good-looking women in Atlanta.
Baddies in Atlanta, yeah.
No baddies in Atlanta. And Atlanta is heavily populated with Black women, right? I don't know what kind of ladies you like if you can't find beautiful women in Atlanta. But when they said that, I think that people said, okay, well, they're talking basically about Black women. And then they started looking or seeking out other times that they might have been off code in regards to Black women.
And maybe so. And even in that podcast, the Poor Minds podcast that you're referencing, they asked them to be specific on, well, what's a baddie? And they give this generic answer and they even call it out. They're like, that sounds pretty PR. So maybe that is the case. Let's just say that is. So they go back, they go back to this Flagrant podcast. They pull this out. It goes viral. Their audience, their fan base is upset because majority of their fan base are Black women. And a lot of these Black women kind of had othered them. It seems like, from what I'm saying, that they thought that these guys were different from maybe the stereotypical, I don't know if it's UK Black man or what, that may have said some offensive things in regards to Black women. They felt like these podcasters protected them. So back in July, when they made the comments, they had nothing to say. Now that it has become viral, of course, just like clockwork, they hop on their podcast, address the issue, and this is what they have to say.
We just wanted to address something that's happening at the minute. This past weekend, there's been a couple of clips going around from when we did a session on the Flagrant podcast while we were on our US tour. And there were a few jokes made that were incredibly inappropriate. One specifically pertaining to Black women. And in the clip, Andrew was making a joke. I'm not even going to get into specifics. Making a frankly racist joke. And we were laughing at it. And to give, there's first of all, before we get into like specifics or anything like that, obviously there's just literally no excuse. There is no excuse.
Agreed.
And fight or flight is a real thing. Like it is, fight or flight is a real thing, and it's so not easy to say, but when you're in those situations, you look at it through a lens of like, bro, if it was me, I promise you I'll stand up, I'll kick them cameras down, I would smack homeboy in the face, I would say this, I'll do that. But when you're in there, you're in shock.
You're in shock, and all you want to do is move on.
Move on is the fucking word, bro. All you want to do is fucking move on. Just move on to the next thing. Just move on to the next thing.
There's
and
so
like
many
we had
times.
to say a few times, bro, just move on.
Just move
on.
So many different topics. We were like, move on. And it's not even like about pity laughs or anything, but we just want.
We can cut it off. Because they're full of shit. Y'all ask me my apology rating. That's how I feel about that. If I didn't know other things that they have done to try to cover their tracks, then maybe I could give this apology a little bit better rating. They have deleted the first 100 podcast episodes in response to the backlash of this. That's not somebody who's, if you're sorry, that's not what you do. You own who you are. You address it head on, and you hold yourself accountable to be better moving forward. You don't hide, right? And they tried to hide, and people started pulling up old clips. And so maybe, just in contrast to your theory, maybe the reason that it didn't go viral is because this audience has been used to hearing them disparage Black women or make kind of snide remarks. They've made remarks in regards to Black women about how Fuhad is talking about how he dated this white woman who said she wanted to be Black. And they make the joke, well, if you were Black, then Black men wouldn't be on you. The other guy said that he was bullied by Black women, so he has issues with it. So like he holds this grudge against Black women. These are not two men who protect Black women. And those are only the clips that I've seen. Initially, if you're sorry, the moment that you said it, you would have addressed it, or you started, because there were some rumblings back in July. It just didn't become viral. You're now addressing it because it's affecting your bag. You're now addressing it because you're on the verge of what happened to Fit and Fuck, whatever they are, could possibly happen to you. So it's hard for me to say, oh, they're being genuine in what they're saying. It's just that you got caught and you're not owning it. And the biggest thing I hate when somebody apologizes is that they make excuses as to why they behaved that way. We don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear that you were uncomfortable. If you were uncomfortable, imagine how Black women feel hearing stereotypes once again being perpetuated about them that are not true. By a white man at that. By men and then by a white man. So if you're uncomfortable, imagine how we feel. If you just wanted to move on, imagine how we feel. If you really are about protecting Black women, in that moment, you should have addressed it and then said move on. You didn't challenge it. You laughed it through and kept it moving, which your laughter kind of co-signed the things that they were saying. So to me, the fact that you're like, oh, it's fight or flight, we didn't know what to do. If you had been in that situation, you would have been uncomfortable like we were too. No. Van, I feel like if you were in that situation, you would have been like, chill out. And let me tell you why. Like, that's not cool. Or maybe you would have done what they didn't do. Donnie, can you please play what Andrew Schulz had to say about not just their apology, but what they could have asked to be done with the podcast in regards to editing?
Yeah. Once it's happened one time, you're like,
pause. You know what's mad funny about this? Is that they had shit that they asked to take out the episode. You know what they didn't ask to take out?
Your racist slander. Why is your nose twitching?
They had shit. Their producer or whatever was like, hey, we really think that's inappropriate. We like to take that out. That's very uncomfortable. Their fight and flight instinct really kicked in after the power down. But with that joke about the black women, nothing really seemed, the fight or flight wasn't really there. Your
delivery was too good. I think
maybe they were seduced by the delivery.
Yeah. So that was Andrew Schulz and his co-host responding to the apology from James and Fuad. And basically they said that if they wanted to, they asked for other things to be edited out. This was not a big enough problem, an issue for them to edit this out of the podcast until they received the backlash. Van, your thoughts?
Lots of thoughts. So number one, I have been on Flagrant. Like I was on Flagrant about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Two things about this whole situation that are true as far as I'm concerned. Number one, when you go on Flagrant, what you're trying to do is not let them get to you, because we've seen other times that people have like stopped and did whatever. When you do that and you're on a show like that, which the show's brand is, God bless you, the show's brand is, there's like this machismo thing to it, right? The show's brand is, this is like comedy for people who can handle comedy, and it's called Flagrant. So when you go on there, what you're trying to do is you're trying to not let them break you, and they're pushing on you, especially if you're a guest that they don't have some sort of reverence for. Right? But they're trying to get a rise out of you. You saw Shane Gillis on there. They're trying to get a rise out of Shane Gillis. They're trying to get a rise out of like some of the other people that have been on there. They're trying to get a rise out of me when I was on there. As a matter of fact, that joke, it's been kind of going around, that joke about black women like making your hair.
The black effect?
The black effect, making your hair go
Black
away.
girlfriend effect, sorry.
Black girlfriend effect. No. The black girlfriend effect that the Shits and Giggles guys were talking about was that black women glow you up. The black girlfriend effect that Andrew and the Flagrant guys started talking about was that black women stress you out, make you lose your hair. I actually think that that joke was first made on the episode of Flagrant that I was on, right? And it wasn't, you know what I mean? I think that clip is going around now and stuff like that. My thing on there, I said, hey, you're going to let them talk about the sisters like that? We can't talk about the sisters like that. I remember at one point during the episode literally having to say, the name of the episode is like it's like black women. I remember one point in the episode literally having to say, hey, just let y'all know, black women, let y'all know we love y'all and we're going to be there for y'all. What I'm saying is there's not going to be very many situations where like a part of the community, a black anything is going to be disparaged where I'm not going to be uncomfortable with it. Especially, I always think about how I'm being looked at. Forget about protection or anything like that. I always feel like how I'm being looked at. And that's also for me, trauma from being at TMZ. So for me, I'm never going to put myself in a position again where somebody looks like I'm a part of something because I am there. So even if I am there, I'm going to say, hey, this isn't me. I understand the comedy world that you guys are trying to do or whatever, this isn't me, whatever. I also remember like saying on the show, this is the last time I'll ever come on here. Because that's just kind of not for me. I can't be Flagrant. I don't want to be Flagrant, right? They have a very successful podcast, and that is the way that they've been doing their podcast for a long time. And that's very frankly the brand of comedy that they have. Either you fuck with it or you don't. Everybody gets it on there. Here's the problem. Okay. Everybody gets it on there. Everybody gets it on there. Here's the problem. With me particularly, I came from a place where everybody also got it. Like everybody got it at TMZ. Not everybody, but most other people got it on TMZ. Everybody got it on TMZ. Everyone got it. Everyone got it. The protection And the sensitivity part of it is important to understand because it's a priority. So when I would be at TMZ and they would make, we make fun of these people, we make fun of these people, we do this and we do that. What I would say is that, or what I would say and what I would feel was that there is a specific sensitivity that needs to be involved with some groups. And if you don't have that specific sensitivity, then it's not for me. Right? And and the reason why it's not for me is because what I've learned is that at a certain point, it doesn't matter what you intend to do. It just matters what you do. Doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Doesn't matter if you weren't trying to hurt or specifically injure one group. It just matters that you did. And a lot of your voice is the deeper the hurt that you can do. So when I would see that, I would say, hey, you know, he did say that about this group, and he says that about this group, but the way things land for Black people are different because the sensitivities and the realities are different. So when those guys were talking about protection, that's a very important word to use because of something that Akash actually said. Actually, play Akash on protection real quick. I want to speak to this real quick.
Sorry, Indians, by the way. Yeah. I apologize.
No, I apologize. I should have protected you.
I apologize.
Because you're not capable of protecting yourself. That's the thing. I don't think that you're capable of protecting yourself, so it's my job to protect you. I got to infantilize you, and I apologize.
Yeah. That is wrong-headed to me. I understand where people come at it when they come at it like that. That's wrong-headed to me. You don't protect something because it's weak. You protect something actually for two reasons. You protect it because it's valuable and because it's in peril. That's it. Mm-hmm. You protect it. Right now, if I'm on the street and I see my homeboy Ryan and he's in danger. Ryan got hands. He could throw his hands. Everybody know, right? He could throw his hands. I'm going to come over and protect him because he's valuable to me and he's in danger. Not because I think he can't protect himself. Not because I'm infantilizing him. The thing is, Black women are valuable and they're in peril. And because I believe that, I think you have to do extra to make sure that they're safe. And let's be honest, I failed at that before. Everybody's going to fail at their best intentions before. You don't always do it, but you want to do it. And the first sign of it is detecting that you might be in a place where they're not protected. Black ladies aren't protected on flagrant. No one is protected on flagrant. People know that nobody is protected on flagrant. People know that Black women aren't protected on flagrant, that they don't care the way Black women feel about that on flagrant, that they're just another group that will get made fun of on flagrant. And now you move with the intention, and you know that, right? And if that bothers you, then that bothers you. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, right? To me, I don't think that we should really necessarily move in spaces where Black women aren't protected. Right. And there's a whole big, I agree. And there's a whole big world out there, like a whole big world out there. And not everybody is going to look at things the exact same way. A whole big world out there where, you know, people are pushing the envelope and they're doing all of that stuff. And I get it. Right. And I get it. I think that these guys, they got up to the edge where, they understood what's being expected of them. And I think that all Black men should really ask the question of what's being expected of them. Now, to me, this is it. I haven't talked to when I say this is it, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody over there about this except for Alex. Alex is actually the guy. Alex from Flagrant is actually the guy that gave me these. He listens to Higher Learning.
Which one's Alex?
Black guy.
Oh, the one who was laughing.
Black guy. He actually gave me these. He's a big fan of How to Learn. Alex is a good guy.
Well, I hope Alex is listening because Alex is the one, the moment that they decided to address the apology from the Shits and Giggles podcasters, Alex couldn't stop laughing. Thought it was hilarious. I'm speaking about Alex. Like Andrew, there's a problem. I am very uncomfortable with someone whose majority of their comedy is based off of race, particularly Black. Like, I don't like that. I don't like being the butt of your joke, because at some point there's a little bit of truth and maybe a lot of truth for you mixed in it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like, he definitely has a very specific worldview. No bail being shot.
I don't believe that it's just comedy for you. And when it comes to Andrew Schulz, I'm tired of Black women being the butt of his joke. Yeah. I'm sick of it. And so for an Alex, when James and Fuhad do their apology and then the flagrant guys respond, they can't even start because Alex is laughing so hard. Once again, it is a Black man who refuses to, use your words, see that Black women are in peril and have enough value for them to where he's going to take up for them and speak out or say that what's happening is wrong. They even make a joke that he's not married to he's not with a Black woman. Did I get that wrong? But my point is,
his wife is even from Spain.
They make this joke. I wouldn't know that. Yeah. And obviously I can't say, I clearly don't have a problem with interracial marriage. I'm just saying that it adds to the lack of care he has for Black women, that he continued to laugh it off at the beginning. He thought the whole thing was hilarious. And I get the point of their podcast, but it doesn't make it okay. I mean, when they have the Fresh and Fit guys on there, Andrew Schulz encouraged them to stand by their controversial remarks. When they said that they weren't night riders and they said that they don't date Shaniquas, he told them to stand by it. Andrew Schulz embodies sexism and racism, misogynoir when it comes to Black women. He does. That, to me, that is equally what he stands for. And so as much as I'm going to talk about James and Fuhad and how problematic they are, I can't deny Andrew Schulz of that criticism as well, simply because that is what his comedy is about. It is wrong. And you talk about how people either fuck with them or they don't when it comes to Flagrant. That audience is male. That's an audience. There are 4 people who, I don't watch the podcast all the time, but when I was watching the apology clip, there's 4 people sitting on that couch. Who's not represented on that couch is the perspective for Black women, for women and Black women. And they constantly have built this male audience because they shit on women. Yes, everybody gets it, but nobody gets it more than women when it comes to their podcast, and particularly Black women. And so as much as y'all want to get on to Fuhad and James, y'all got to get on to the Andrew Schulz of it all. Because he has been, and he continues to surround himself with Black people. I'm not saying all Black people who don't hold him accountable and have made him feel comfortable or told him it's okay because his racism and sexism is couched in a joke. It's not. And we have to call that out too. I'm all for comedy. I'm all for pushing the boundaries, but not at the expense of Black women.
Yeah. There's really no way to argue with you. I mean, the reality is that, there's no way to argue with you. The reality is this. For a lot of us, there is there's this want and a need to be able to say what you're going to say, to be able to get it out there and say it unfiltered and have everybody understand it. And understand that you can say it, and you want to be able to make this jokes, you want to be able to push your limit, you want to be able to push the line, you want to be able to do all of that stuff. But it depends on what you think is important to you and what you hold sacred, right?
You're right.
Right. And so there's no way to argue with what you're saying. And I'm not trying to argue with it. I'm not trying to shoot those guys bail either when I'm talking about the shits and giggles guys at all. I'm saying what I do understand is being in a situation to where you have put your manhood, my manhood depends on me being able to take these jokes or roll with these punches or do like this. When you make it, that's how it happens. That's how a lot of this stuff happens, right? It's if even when they were talking about it in the apology, they're like, we're just making jokes with the boys. We're just making jokes with the boys. Right. And this is opening up a group chat and having your group chat displayed out there. And what kind of jokes would you make when your group chat is exposed and when everybody is out there. And if you opened up everybody's group chats, you'll probably see jokes and stuff that people wouldn't want to reflect them in public. And they go, this is what we're doing out there. But the reality is this, it's like, if you're in a spot where Black women aren't going to be protected, is that a spot that you want to be in? And, you know, do you think, in my opinion, do you think that a certain type of comedy has any type of utility? Is that a certain deal? Is that a thing to you? And so, I don't know. It's interesting. When I was on there some time ago, I just knew it wasn't for me. I knew I had to distance myself from like what was being said. But it's like there are a lot of people that love raunchy, inappropriate, sexist, racist comedy.
Listen, you make a joke or two, I get it. When it's your entire platform,
you feel like Andrew has a specific. You feel like Andrew and Flagrant. You feel like Andrew and Flagrant have a specific problem.
Well, I feel like Andrew, when he talks, his comedy is constantly about race, and so I mean, even when these guys went on the podcast, he made comments about slavery. He made disparaging comments about Nigerian people. He insinuated that James and Fuhad had a preference for an unspoken preference for white women. And then he was like, oh, y'all, you know, you're too uncomfortable or embarrassed to admit it. Like, it's a lot. Like, I get people make jokes about certain things, but for him, it seems to be
a fixation.
A fixation. That's the perfect word for it.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't seem to be held accountable. Like, I just wouldn't want to be around somebody who seems so fixated or obsessed or like about making jokes about Black women and Black women in general, or Black people. It's just, it's not for me. And I would feel uncomfortable if I was Alex sitting there on the couch. Like, I get it. Like, even, what was his name? Akash. I mean, like, even him being so quick to, you know, like, make a joke about being Indian. It's like, it's to make what they were saying uncomfortable, like being self-deprecating. I don't know. It's like you said, it's not for me. It's not for me.
Like, even that though, like, right? So you see, I make a joke about you being Scottish. You make a joke about me being English. I make a joke about you being Black. I make a joke about this. I make a joke about that. I mean, they've had, I mean, back in the day on Flagrant, there was there was like a big dust up back in the day about the way that Andrew would like treat your girlfriend and stuff like that. Like the girlfriends of the actual people that were on the show. Akash is married to a very, very beautiful Indian lady, and I think they were dating at the time. And there was talks about that, but in their masculine super male world, it's almost like came to blows at one point on there when Cass was still on the show. In their like frat boy world, their defense is an insult. So like when Akash, like it's weird because they're saying that like it's not weird. It's all about machismo. It's all about trying to put your balls out there and break somebody else. So like when Akash says, when Andrew says something about Akash, and Akash comes back and says something about Andrew, what he doesn't get is he is protecting his culture. He's defending his culture. He's going, oh, you saying that about me? This is what I say about you. And also like to diss the Scottish or anybody that's, you know, European, like in regards to, you know, India.
Correct.
Or whatever. You know, they've had the conversations. There was a conversation they had on there that went viral about the wealth that was being taken out of India or Africa and how that mattered and all of that. And Akash and Alex and Andrew were talking about it. And, you know, I think that a part of it just has to do with people not wanting to admit that there's a way that you move in the world to where you lessen the amount of harm that you do. And I just don't think that the Flagrant podcast cares whether or not they do harm, or they don't think that it's harmful.
They
think that a little harm is good. So, I mean, to me, like I said,
because they see it as a little harm. It's not a little harm. I just have to say that. It's not a little harm.
No, I get it. No, I get it. Well, they would say that it's a little harm. So, to me,
right,
I would be lying if I said this. This is the way I look at it. There is a lot of racist and sexist humor that I think is funny. Like, there is. Like, for sure.
Sure.
There is a lot of racist and sexist humor that I think is funny. It is. There is a lot of, I am one of the guys who would not want to be broken, who would not want to back down until I think that you're serious. This is probably the best way I could put it. When I'm standing in front of Kanye West and Kanye West is saying what he's saying, I think he's serious. When I'm standing in front of Emmanuel Acho and Emmanuel Acho is saying what he's saying, I think he's serious. When I'm standing in front of Josh Denny, who came on my podcast, a white comedian, and said some things, I'm thinking that he's serious. And so when I'm thinking that he's serious, I'm like, oh, you're not playing. And so if you're not playing, then I am going to react in a way that has to directly confront what it is that you're saying so that you know those ideas don't jive with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I think that you're joking, there is a part of me that's going to try to take the joke. Unless the joke makes me uncomfortable. And if the joke makes me uncomfortable, I don't want people to think that your joke is my joke, or that I believe what you believe, or that I'm standing by you in a way that makes me, because laughing is in a way agreeing, right? When you in a drive battle and somebody starts laughing, you'd be like, oh, nigga, I know you ain't laughing, right? Because it looks like you're with them. like you're having fun with them. And so there are jokes that you can make, and everybody knows this. There are jokes that you can make that will bother people. And when you do go to certain places with people, it's more than the joke.
Sure.
And when you're talking about Black ladies who experience such violence, experience such racism, they're not safe in childbirth, they're not safe in relationships, they're not safe in all of these places. Like, it means more. And they probably need, in my opinion, they need to do better with that, for sure.
I agree.
For sure.
But they won't.
No, because at this point they would be relenting.
And they would lose their audience. They built this audience. They cultivated this audience for however many years they've been doing the podcast.
You want to go in there and talk to them?
This is there. For what?
The two of us will go back on. I said that I would never go on again. I said that on the podcast. I said that I would never go on again. But why not go on and have the conversation?
What are we going to talk about? They don't care. So it's like, to be very honest with you, I'm not opposed to it, right? But I'm not opposed to it. But the question I would have is, what are we going to talk about? Because I can tell you what they would come at me about. They would absolutely talk to me about Bachelor, interracial dating.
Yeah, they would come at you about.
Yeah. Like, I know exactly what they would talk to me about. It's not that I can't handle it. It's just like, so you want to make me the butt of your jokes? Like, well, I'm just trying to figure out like what we would talk about.
What we would talk about.
I'm not going to be there to convince them, because that's not going to happen.
No. I don't think it's about convincing. First of all, I just like a good scrap. I think this would be a good scrap.
Of course.
Secondly, I don't think it's about convincing them. I don't necessarily think it's about convincing them. Because I did said it, and I meant it, and I said it everywhere, that I would never do the podcast just because I don't like being uncomfortable. I don't like jokes making me uncomfortable. I don't like going on a podcast and having to be in defense mode. It's just not my type of shit. Like you know what I'm saying? It's not my type of shit. It's like, I get why people look, but it's not my type of shit. But this is different though. I feel like we say a lot of things, and it would be interesting to go on there and have the conversation about whether or not they're in the wrong on the platform or have them on this platform?
I would do it. I would do it. I would just have to make sure I'm not the angry Black female. That's what they would try to push me. What? That's what they would try to push. That would be a part of it. Like, there she is. She's getting angry. She's getting angry again.
Be angry. But see,
I would do it. I would 100% do it.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
They can come here or we'll go there.
Yeah, we'll see.
How many Black women have they had on their podcast?
I'd have to think. I mean, I haven't listened to Flagrant in a while. Like
I would ask that question.
Yeah, I haven't listened to Flagrant in a while. I'd have to think. It's a good question. I know that Wendy Cummings and a couple of other people have been on there, but
I know that. I saw those clips too. But I said Black.
Black. All right, can we get out of here? Or you want to talk about Nelly getting sued?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Not at all. Let's get out of here.
This is kind of crazy though. This is.
I want to hear. I feel. Yeah, but we don't know enough.
Yeah, the whole group is suing Nelly.
But what took so long? Country Grammar came out 24 years ago. Like, what took so long?
I think maybe they thought that Nelly was gone. Maybe they was trying to get the business straight. So Nelly and the St. Lunatics, we'll get to it next week because we might bring Ali on. We've been threatening to bring Ali from the St. Lunatics on.
That's what I would love.
To have Ali on.
For that.
Hey man, y'all stop with the pissy assholes. I don't think it should be pissy. I don't want to kink shame, but I don't know why it would be pissy. Pissy assholes is not. Why you want it to be?
Let's
pissy?
go. We're not. No.
Well, I'm just saying. Why is it pissy?
Black women, protect yourselves.
Nah.
They out here.
I'm telling you, we gonna protect Black women, okay? Because we value them and they're in danger. And
you might.
We're not going to make. We're not going to give any explanations, or we're not going to give any rationalizations about why we do it. We're going to do it because it's our job to do. As Black people, we're going to protect Black women. We're going to protect Black men. We're going to protect Black girls. We're going to protect Black boys. We're going to protect Black ladies. They're in the most peril of all of those groups. And we're going to protect them. And we're going to make a special effort to do it. And we're not going to have to explain it to anyone. It's the last time. Also non-binary. This is the last time we're going to get into why we should protect things that are valuable to us. If you got a lock on your door, you know what I'm talking about. You're not a baby. You live in a house with locks. You live in a house with weapons. You live in a house with things. You live in a house with things to protect you. You're not a baby. Whatever. All right. Take your thing caps off, but do not stop learning. I am Van Lathan Jr.
I'm Rachel Lynn Lindsay. Bye, guys.